So my connection with the song Walls is, it goes pretty far back. I've always really loved Tom Petty, and I found the song to be just an incredible song. It could have been anyone else's best song, and this wasn't even on his greatest hits. And eventually, fast forward many years, my wife and I got married, and she walked down the aisle to this song. And so after we played it for the Tom Petty Person of the Year, the MusiCares event, I got to meet him, and he expressed that he really appreciated our version of this song, which meant the world, because he's easily one of my heroes musically. So we continued to play it because we knew it got his blessing. I think it felt right, especially after he passed, to pay homage to him. And it continues to be one of my favorite songs, even though he didn't feel like he nailed it, and he joked that because he had two different versions of it on the same record, he felt like he was still trying to track down what the proper version was. But for me, I always just adored the song, and it was a segue to eventually meet him. So it was a dream come true. So Tom Petty's influence on me as a performer would date back to, I saw him at PNC Bank Arts Center in New Jersey. It's this outdoor amphitheater, and I was probably 15. And I remember him opening up this chest during Last Dance with Mary Jane and picking up a fedora, putting it on, playing the song, and at the end of it, opening it back up, putting it back down into it. And it was something clicked, that he had this way about it being a showman, that he was winking at you as he was doing it, but he was just loving what he was doing. And so I think I took away from that it was showcraft, and he was putting on a show, but really he had the best songs. You know, his songs are what carried the show. And so that had a big influence on me. And then as a songwriter, he always seemed to be able to have a lot of heart in songs that were just really catchy. They could be accused of being just pure pop songs, but they had a lot of meaning to me and a lot of heart, and that comes from him. And just the way he wrote, you know, very specific references, like, you know, Ventura Boulevard, and you just think you're there with him. He was so good at that with these songs they felt so universal, and yet they had these specific elements referenced. So that and his simplicity, I think those are the things that I really latched onto as a songwriter, and always admired about him. And the fact that no matter who you're sitting with anywhere, if a Tom Petty song comes on, it's this universally felt experience that very few, it's like Bob Marley or something. Very few people make that kind of music, so I always admired him for that. I think we got to open for Tom Petty 3 different times, Seattle, Vancouver, and Hyde Park in London, and I think the Hyde Park show was the most special. I think he was so, pleasantly surprised or shocked or happy to just see 60,000 people had showed up. And he hadn't been there, I don't think, in a little while. And it was just, after every song, I remember he'd put up his arms like a boxer had just finished off an opponent. Every song ended, and he just went like this. So it was like watching a kid, and he was in his 60s, I believe. And he was just blown away, you could tell. I think he felt like he got his kudos later in life, deservedly so. And so it was just cool to be a part of that. I felt very much like we were there to try to set the table for their show, but they already had it taken care of. And so it was one of those things where I watched every show as a fan afterwards, not realizing he would be gone soon, but I'm glad I watched it like in this precious way, because it turned out it was one of the last times I could have seen him anyway. So it was a super special thing to be a part of.